Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Home of the brave.
Please remain standing for the posting of colors by a multi-agency honor guard. You may be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Captain Jason Ramos with the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office. It is a privilege and an honor to join you today in congregation as we come together in fellowship and in remembrance of, appreciation of, and celebration of the life of Galt Police Officer Harminder Grewal. We're truly blessed to have a venue like this befitting of the occasion, and that does not happen without the collective efforts of many people, far too many people to thank. But we want Bayside Adventure Church to know that on behalf of the Galt Police Department and the entire family, I'm sure that we love and appreciate you. You have once again demonstrated your steadfast commitment and unwavering support of the public safety profession in our time of need. So I'd like to welcome host pastor Michael Metcalf from Bayside Adventure Church to come forward for some remarks.
to the family and friends of Officer Grewal, to the brave men and women who are his brothers and sisters that put yourselves in harm's way to keep us safe. Welcome. Welcome to Bayside Adventure. Scripture tells us that in life we will have suffering. Yet it also tells us that in that suffering there is glory. Why? Because we know that suffering produces perseverance. And perseverance produces character. And character produces hope. As we are gathered today to celebrate the life of, and also begin the process of mourning the life of Officer Grewal, we welcome you into this place as a safe place to process your grief, but also as a place that we believe will bring you hope. Welcome, and God bless.
We have come together in this law enforcement tribute for the family, for friends, community, Galt Police Department, Sacramento County Sheriff's Department, and all the law enforcement departments across the nation to honor our brother. Thank you. Thank you all. We are grateful.
ਆਪਣੇ ਭਰਾ ਦੀ ਵਿਛੜੀ ਰੂਹ ਦੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਸਤਿਕਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਾ ਇਨਫੋਰਸਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਸ਼ਰਧਾਂਜਲੀ ਸਮਾਗਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ, ਦੋਸਤਾਂ, ਭਾਈਚਾਰੇ, ਪੁਲਿਸ ਵਿਭਾਗ ਗਾਲਟ, ਸ਼ੈਰਿਫ ਵਿਭਾਗ ਸੈਕਰਾਮੈਂਟੋ ਕਾਉਂਟੀ ਅਤੇ ਦੇਸ਼ ਭਰ ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਲਾ ਇਨਫੋਰਸਮੈਂਟ ਵਿਭਾਗਾਂ ਸਮੇਤ ਇਕੱਤਰ ਹੋਏ ਹਾਂ। ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ। ਅਸੀਂ ਤਹਿ ਦਿਲੋਂ ਸ਼ੁਕਰਗੁਜ਼ਾਰ ਹਾਂ।
I pray that the family feels the pride of their son and his service to protect and serve through the law enforcement community.
ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਆਪਣੇ ਪੁੱਤਰ ਅਤੇ ਲੋੜਵੰਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਸੁਰੱਖਿਆ ਤੇ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲੀ ਉਸ ਦੀ ਨੌਕਰੀ ਉੱਤੇ ਮਾਣ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ।
Today, we are grateful for each and every one who have come to celebrate Officer Harminder Grewal's life and his service as a police officer. At the rising of the sun and its going down, we will remember him.
ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਦੇ ਰਿਣੀ ਹਾਂ, ਉਸ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਦੇ ਰਿਣੀ ਹਾਂ ਜੋ ਹਰਮਿੰਦਰ ਗਰੇਵਾਲ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਅਤੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਅਫਸਰ ਵਜੋਂ ਉਸ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਸਮਾਰੋਹ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ। ਚੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਡੁੱਬਦੇ ਸੂਰਜ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of the winter, we will remember him.
ਹਵਾ ਦੇ ਵਗਣ ਤੇ ਅਤੇ ਸਰਦੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਠੰਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we will remember him.
ਕਲੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹਣ ਅਤੇ ਬਸੰਤ ਦੀ ਮੁੜਤ ਉੱਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
At the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of the summer, we will remember him.
ਨੀਲੇ ਅੰਬਰ ਹੇਠ ਅਤੇ ਗਰਮੀ ਦੇ ਨਿੱਘ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember him.
ਪੱਤਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਝੜਤ ਅਤੇ ਖੂਬਸੂਰਤ ਪਤਝੜ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
And at the beginning of the year, and when it ends, we will remember him.
ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂਆਤ ਅਤੇ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਅੰਤ ਉੱਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
As long as we live, he will live too, for he is now a part of us as we remember him.
ਜਿੰਨਾ ਚਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਜਿਉਂਦਾ ਰਹੇਗਾ। ਉਹ ਹੁਣ ਸਾਡਾ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਹੈ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember him.
ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਥੱਕ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਤਾਕਤ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
When we are lost and sick in heart, we will remember him.
ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਾਰ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਦਿਲ ਹੌਲਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we will remember him.
ਜਦੋਂ ਫੈਸਲੇ ਲੈਣੇ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਲ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
When we have joy and we crave to share, we will remember him.
ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਸਾਂਝੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
When we have achievements that are based on theirs, we will remember him.
ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਪਾਏ ਪੂਰਨਿਆਂ ਤੇ ਆਧਾਰ ਤੇ ਸਫਲਤਾਵਾਂ ਮਿਲਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
For as long as we live, he will live too. For he is now a part of us. We will remember him.
ਜਿੰਨਾ ਚਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਜਿਉਂਦਾ ਰਹੇਗਾ। ਉਹ ਹੁਣ ਸਾਡਾ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਹੈ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
Amen.
ਆਮੀਨ।
We'll now have a law enforcement tribute by Chief Small with the Galt Police Department. That will be followed by a series of professional and personal eulogies.
Sometimes there are no words. There are no words to adequately describe the loss that the Grewal family is experiencing, nor the words to describe the sorrow felt by the members of the Galt Police Department. There are no words to describe the pain experienced by those in this room throughout the community who lost an officer, Harminder Grewal, a true public servant committed to ensuring their safety and security. This is a time of sorrow that proves words insufficient to express what we are feeling. However, even in the midst of this sorrow, there are also no words sufficient to express our thankfulness for the life well lived and proud legacy left by Officer Grewal. Nor words sufficient to express our thankfulness to our community, regional partners, and law enforcement professionals around the world who have stood with us since the events of August 22nd. So when words alone fail, how do we pay sufficient tribute to the fallen and adequately explain the impact that Officer Grewal had on our lives? Words will not do on their own. But where words fall short, stories and memories fill in the gaps, provide the richness and meaningfulness of what we're trying to convey. The meaning of Officer Grewal's life and service can only be adequately expressed through the stories shared by those who loved him, those who served next to him, and those who were served by him. So that is what we'll do. Since August 22nd, I've listened to the stories and memories shared by family, beat partners, friends, and community members impacted by the life and passing of Officer Grewal. As I did so, two prominent themes emerged: Officer Grewal's love of his family and faith, and his commitment to his partners in this profession. Officer Grewal loved his family. He held his faith and heritage in high regard. He proudly wore the turban as part of his uniform and did so out of respect and to honor his family and beliefs. Officer Grewal prioritized his family and chose to live close to his parents to ensure they were well taken care of. He shared a love of motorcycles and trucks with his brother. We know these things because he would talk to his partners about his family and upbringing at every opportunity, and always with a sense of pride. Officer Grewal was always eager to share his culture with his partners. When a couple of them mentioned that they were not familiar with traditional Indian food, he spent the next several days bringing different foods from home to share with them. Officer Grewal was committed to this profession. This commitment found its root early in Officer Grewal's life, when as a young man he immigrated to the United States with his family. Upon arriving in the airport, one of his first recollections was of seeing an American police officer for the first time. He explained that he was shocked when the officer smiled at him and talked to his family because he feared the officer would judge them because of their culture and accents. But that was not the case. Rather, the officer was welcoming and helpful, and this interaction had a significant impact on him and contributed to his desire to become a police officer. Officer Grewal's commitment can be seen through the multitude of accomplishments in the short time he served with the Galt Police Department. However, Officer Grewal had a remarkable, well, I'll pick up where I left off, I promise. Officer Grewal's commitment can be seen through the multitude of accomplishments in the short time he served with the Galt Police Department. However, Officer Grewal's commitment and impact go far beyond his accomplishments. Officer Grewal had a remarkable sense of humor, which he was slow to share, but was one of his most endearing qualities. Time does not allow for me to share the stories of the memes he created and posted around the office. Or the messages sent in the early morning hours of his graveyard shift, sometimes interrupting the sleep of those on a more normal shift. Or about how he was the only officer to be the subject of a noise complaint while working out at the police department gym. All of these acts endeared him to those he worked with and brought much needed levity in difficult times. Even in the simplest of gestures, Officer Grewal was impactful. Shortly after his passing, I overheard a local resident whose early morning walking routine takes her past the police department. She was sharing a story about how Officer Grewal would always wave to her and how she referred to him as Officer Mustache until she learned his name. That small act of waving impacted her in such a way that she felt the need to share that story with someone. I imagine there are countless others in the community who could share similar experiences. On the day of the collision, Officer Grewal and his partner, Officer Capri Herrera, were on their way to assist with the Caldor Fire for what promised to be a long day serving a community they did not know. I cannot think of a better example to show the type of commitment and selflessness that characterized Officer Grewal's life and final sacrifice. Officer Grewal epitomized what each of us in this room aspire to be. He epitomized what it means to be a beloved family member, a committed law enforcement officer, a person of faith, and a proud part of these United States. Let's all strive to be as faithful and committed in our own lives. And although there are no words adequate to describe his legacy, let us continue to try to do so through the sharing of stories and memories of how he impacted each of us. To the family of Officer Grewal, I'm sorry that you have to experience this loss. Harmon was a bright light in what can be a very dark world. Thank you for allowing us to stand by you through these difficult days, and please know that we will continue to stand with you as long as you will allow us. Our lives are forever intertwined through Harmon and the memory of his sacrifice. To Officer Herrera, thank you for your sacrifice and service to the community and for the strength and resilience you have shown during your recovery. We're all very glad to see you here today. To the men and women of the Galt Police Department, I could not be more proud of your resilience, commitment, and selflessness during this time. Thank you for the courage you've displayed as you've shown up every day to continue the mission that Harmon gave his life for. You've honored his legacy in the way you have stood by him from the initial incident, standing watch over him, and being here to celebrate his life and see him through until he is at rest. There will still be difficult days ahead, but we will see them through together. To Officer Grewal, there are no words adequate to describe our sense of loss or to express how much we miss you. And there are no words to describe our thankfulness for the time we had with you. But we will continue to tell your story. Rest well, brother.
Harminder S. Grewal commenced his public service on February 20th, 2018 with the Modesto Police Department and later the Lodi Police Department. He was sworn in as a police officer with the City of Galt Police Department on February 25th, 2019. After completing his field training, Harminder was assigned to the Patrol Division where he worked a variety of shifts. He was a proud member of the Galt Police Department Honor Guard, and he recently sought after and was selected to become a motor officer with the traffic unit and was scheduled to begin his pre-training. Harminder Grewal had an immediate impact during his short career with the Galt Police Department. His desire to do the best he could each day resulted in awards in his first full year with the Galt Police Department. He was awarded the Officer of the Year, a selection by his peers, for his work ethic, integrity, and his inspiration to others for them to perform at their highest levels. He was awarded the Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, MAD, award for 2020 based on the number of DUI arrests he made during that year. Harminder served the Galt Police Officers Association as treasurer and was near completion of his bachelor's degree. The Galt Police Department acknowledges the work and dedication to the profession of law enforcement exhibited by Officer Harminder S. Grewal, who entered into rest on August 26, 2021.
Harminder, Harmon, Honey, Grewal, brother from another Minder, all the different names that we had, made a huge impact in his 2.5 years with the Galt Police Department. His one-liners under his breath, his smirk to others around when he is about to give someone a hard time, his convincing dry humor, and his heart of gold brought the entire department and community together. Those of us who were blessed to have Harminder in our life have struggled the last 3 weeks, but we all know he would want us to focus on the things that made us happy and not sad. So I will share some of our favorite memories of Harmon with you all. Harminder created the wall of morale in our report writing room. The wall was a collage of memes he found or created which were relevant to things happening in the department at the time. Let's just say no one was safe on that wall. Harminder was extremely stealthy with his camera on his phone. If there was any training, group setting, downtime on shift, there was guaranteed to be pictures sent almost immediately. And yes, those pictures would end up on the wall. He helped create weekly rituals on our shifts. He had Dutch Bros Wednesdays with our dispatchers, shift family dinner on Thursdays, and the most recent was Oreo Shake Fridays with Capri and our graveyard dispatcher, Tatiana. His love for pizzas and breakfast burritos were unmatched. I can honestly say I've never seen a human eat 4 pizzas in a sitting until a night out with the guys. He's also the only man I know that has sprained his jaw eating a breakfast burrito. Harmon was the epitome of the American dream. Immigrating from India to America with his family, he worked each day to achieve the goals he set for himself. His love for all things America, Metallica, Pink Floyd, muscle cars, tattoos, motorcycles, and trucks. He loved this country. His love and passion for this country was a daily reminder of how truly lucky we are to live here. Out of all the things I loved about Harminder, nothing could top how genuine of a human he really was. Harmon could not say no. If I needed a ride, he would be there. If we needed someone to hold over on shift, he would be the first one. If we needed extra work done for the Police Officers Association, he would volunteer himself without hesitation. If anyone needed anything, he was always the first one there. I can honestly tell you, I do not recall him ever saying no or I can't. To the Grewal family, thank you for sharing Harminder with us. He made us better, the community better, and the world better. To the law enforcement community, Galt PD, and everyone in this room, may we all do the job with as much pride and dedication as Harminder. And if you have a mustache, make sure you grow that thing out and push your policy line, because that's what he would do too.
Morning. My name is Mikey. I actually lived around the corner from Harmon and Lodi. It was his childhood dream to serve and protect his community, and by all accounts, he did just that. We've heard some of the accolades, Officer of the Year, on the board of his Police Officers Association, and so many other distinctions. Just this past weekend, we recognized 20 years, the 20-year anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and remembered everybody who lost their lives on that day. A lot of the public safety police officers, firefighters who ran towards those burning buildings to try and save other lives. A lesser known tragedy of that day is the experience of sick Americans after 9/11 and the hate crimes that we experienced, the misconceptions about the turban and what it represented. And I think Harmon knew his position, his place as not only a representative of the city of Galt, of the police department, but also of his Sikh faith, and the fact that there were interactions he was having in the community, responding to calls for service where he may have been the only Sikh that these folks have ever interacted with. And he represented our community to the fullest, with honor, with respect, with distinction that I think is, it's hard to see. He's survived by his father, Gurdeep Grewal, his mother, Jaswinder Grewal, his brother, Jasdeep Grewal, his sister-in-law, Kirandeep Grewal, his partner, Nikki, and his friends, family, and colleagues from throughout.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ Hello, everyone. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Navdeep Kaur, sister of Herman. Herman and I was raised together in joint family home in India. The Grewal family consisted of 4 children. The boys, Jasdeep, Herman, Rajdeep, and myself as the only girl and sister. Herman and I were only 3 months apart. He was the younger of us two. We spent all our childhood together. Herman, as a child, was quiet and innocent little boy, and I, on the other hand, was kind of cunning girl. We could fight and protect one another like a brother and sister. I still have the marks from our wrestling battles. I didn't ever complain or tell on him. It was just part of our bond. Herman has always been a special person. He is constantly surprising us, all with his accomplishments. When he first started walking as a baby, he didn't just take one step. He took many steps and started running. Even though I was accepted to walk first, being the older one, but I was the one following his lead by learning from him. As a child, Herman did not like to go to school. He would cry and complain all the time. Even crying, carry his backpack on the walk home was a struggle for him. He always asked me to help him carry his backpack. Even though it was difficult for me to carry 2 backpacks, I couldn't tell him no. I can still see his innocent face with red cheeks from hot weather, looking at me asking for help. Although not the proudest moment, but some of the most memorable were time where I helped him to get out from the class. Because of how much he hated being there, I would tell him we can go out from the class by asking to go to restroom. I would throw our backpacks outside the classroom through a space in the wall of our classroom. When we would ask to go to restroom and go home early, when we had get home, Mom would ask why we go home so early, and Herman would tell Mom our class ended because the teacher needed to go home, and Mom probably knew we were up to something, and she would start smiling. After a while, Dad changed Herman's school. He started going to Christian school, and I was sent to Jasdeep school. As a child, my parents did not allow me to watch a TV, but Herman was able to watch. Herman would always make a deal with me to if I bring 4 spices ready for him, he gave me a remote for 1 hour. We had a good time as a kid. Herman had path to becoming a police officer starting at a young age. I remember when he was getting ready for participate in a uniform competition in India. He wanted to dress like a police officer. Dad took him all the way to Ludhiana to get him a gun just like the one he's seen the police officer holding. It was then that Herman set his goal to becoming a police officer. Around his age, like 7 to 8 years, when he decided to become a police officer. Despite his residence with the school, he graduated as a straight-A student. Parents had a plan for him to become an engineer like his father and brother Jasdeep, and all pushed him to complete a non-medical background. Even though it wasn't what he wanted, he completed the course to fulfill his parents' dream. Fortunately, our family moved to the United States in 2012. When he came here, Herman was able to secure his true passion. As soon as we came here, Herman put all his focus on his true goal. He worked really hard in his study and work and had a full support from his family. Shortly after coming here, I got married and I left the family home. I still remember his hug and words in true Herman fashion, always joking. He told me he was so happy for me for start of my new life. He was also happy for himself because I'm no longer his problem. Harman has always had a big heart. In 2016, when our little brother Rajdeep got into accident and had lost his leg, Harman cried and struggled with understanding why God did this to his little brother. Why between two of them, what Rajdeep, why not him? Since then, I was blessed with two daughters, Raven and Karen. They both are the heart of my three brothers. During my pregnancy with Karen, I stayed in Lodi home for 4 months. She looked just like Herman. He would love to hear people say she looks like him. Karen's face and nature is just like Herman. Everyone called her Little Honey at home. He was so proud of Karen establishing him. He would text me pictures showing me how she looked like him. He would think a lot of Raven and Karen's future. I didn't know before, but I learned that Raven and Karen were on his mind so much that he had started working on raising a fund for their future and would be the topic of discussion among with his friends. Harman went above and beyond for his loved one and had the same character for his work. In his first year as an officer in Galt, he awarded Officer of the Year. Same year, he was awarded for catching the most DUIs, preventing so many lives from being taken or destroyed. Herman was the only brother who texted me in the morning every year. It made me so happy to see his message first thing in the morning. Herman, I'm so proud of you for all that you have done for our family and Sikhism. You were our brave protector and hero. No one can ever take your place in our heart and life. And you will always live on our hearts forever. May Waheguru bless you wherever you are. Love you, brother, so much.
Good morning. So I was lucky enough to have Honey as my cousin. I remember when his family came here from India and meeting him for the first time. You could just tell that he had a pure soul. He was really soft-spoken and always had a smile. His laugh could light up the room. I know those of you who know him and you know his laugh. It's one of a kind, very high pitch. Some facts that I learned about him after learning of his passing, I'm going to share with you, and some experiences I had as well. So he was born February 17th in 94 in a town called Kotla. We lost a great human being on the 26th of August. I learned as a young boy, Honey loved to play with pistols and knives as if he was a soldier reenacting scenes that he had seen in movies. He also loved to watch wrestling films and football games. He was a quiet and sneaky kid, his mother told me. Often, his mother would hide his wrestling cards from him so that he wouldn't take them to school and get in trouble for playing with them. But wherever his mother would hide them, somehow he found them. You could tell that Honey was a quiet yet very patient boy as a young boy. He was also known for teaching himself. He never had to get help from his parents in school. Any of his schooling or homework he had, he always was self-taught. I was surprised to learn that he attended a Christian school till the 10th grade before coming to the States. I guess this was giving him an advantage in learning Western culture and the English language when he was to come here. He also had a competitive nature in him, where I learned he attended multiple talent contests as a kid, and like his sister said, he liked to dress up as a soldier and reenact scenes as if he was a soldier. Interestingly, when Honey came here, his first job ever was working for me. He was a sandwich artist at Subway. He was my best employee ever. He had so many jokes. I mean, all of you probably know the jokes he would come up with. And I also could tell he had OCD because he was always clean and organized. To learn he was mostly a vegetarian when I tried to take him out to dinner and give him a steak or, you know, I told him he needed to eat more protein because he needed to put some muscles on. At the time I owned a Subway, I also had a CrossFit gym where I tried to get him involved in training, but he didn't take to it too well or wasn't too interested at the time. I think it was just the hard work. Sandwiches were easier for him. He was a selfless individual. Going back to what his sister said, when his cousin got in the motorcycle accident and lost his leg, he was so worked up over it that he had wished that it had happened to him. And the reason he wished it had happened to him is because his family had multiple sons. And Raja's family, which is the boy that lost his leg, he was the only son. And then he had his sister. So he thought, why couldn't it happen to our family? Because we have more boys and they could take care of the family more because of what happened to his cousin. So he was really selfless in that way. I had the pleasure or the honor to cut his hair. I don't know if many of you know, in the Indian culture and religion, you don't cut your hair at all during your life. It's a sense of pride and a sense of commitment to your culture and religion. But when he came to the States, he wanted a haircut, and he told me, hey, would you cut my hair for me? And it was an honor to me to do that. I mean, he had hair past his waist when he first came. I'm going to really miss you, Honey. And that's another thing. When we're in public and I called him Honey, people got a different idea of our relationship. I had to explain things. But yeah, I'm going to miss you, Honey. It was a pleasure knowing you. You'll always be here with us in our hearts. Your spirit lives on forever. We love you very much. God bless you. Thank you.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਜਿਹਾ ਚੀਰਾ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਤੇਹਾ ਹੁਕਮ ਕਮਾਏ, ਘੱਲੇ ਆਏ ਨਾਨਕਾ ਸੱਦੇ ਉੱਠ ਜਾ। Coming from the Sikh faith, this is a scripture from the Guru Granth Sahib Ji. It translates to, as his decree is issued, so his command obeyed. Those who are sent come, O Nanak, and when they are called back, they depart. Officer Grewal has been called back. Good morning. Thank you to the Grewal family for giving me the honor to speak about Officer Grewal. There are no enough words to honor life service Officer Grewal and there is no words capable of providing adequate comfort to his family, his colleagues during this difficult time. But we must come together and remember what he stood for and his principle he embodied. He was essence of both what the Sikh faith stands for and what the police officer is, which is seva, known as selfless service to the community. From a young age, Harminder knew he always wants to be a police officer. When he and his family were still living in India, Harminder would dress up and play pretend cop all the time. Harminder's parent, Gurdeep Singh, Jaswinder Kaur Grewal, came to United States with the family in 2012 so that their children could live a better life and have greater opportunities. As Harminder adjusted to his new life in America, he never lost sight of his childhood ambitions and went on to pursue his dream of being a police officer. I can recall so clearly that evening Officer Grewal was sworn in at our city council. His family was in the attendance, and they were so proud of him. I, too, was very proud of the young man chose our town of Galt to serve, making him the first Sikh police officer in our town. Harminder was a kind-hearted, courageous, honorable young man. His contagious smile lit up any room he entered. We will miss seeing that bright smile around town. He was a man who dedicated his life to serving and protecting his community. His loss is left for so many because of the person he was. As many of you already know, Officer Grewal accomplished many achievements at a young age, so early in his career. He was honored with a life-saving award, most DUI arrests, and was named the 2020 Officer of the Year. He took great pride in serving our community and was always ready to help wherever needed. It takes a special kind of commitment and courage to serve in this profession. So we must always be grateful for those who set up to protect and serve, putting their life on the line to keep our community and families safe. We will never forget Officer Grewal, his selfless service, his sacrifice, and his family's sacrifice. To the Grewal family, Gurdeep Singh, Jaswinder Kaur Grewal, you raised an incredible son that was dearly loved in our community. Your son, your brother, he was a true hero, and we forever indebted to him. Harminder, thank you for your service and commitment. Your example of passion, bravery, and devotion will never be forgotten. May you rest in peace. God bless you. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. My name is Jasper Wan. First of all, I want to thank all of you for showing all the love and support for Harmon's family and friends and the Galt Police Department. I've known Harmon for the past 4 years. We had become the best of friends. We went to the same police academy together, where I learned of his personality and humor. In the academy, during lunches, he always had cravings for real authentic Chinese food. You guys probably never heard of this place called Panda Express. He loved his chow mein with double scoops of orange chicken and approximately 5 packets of sriracha. I knew Harmon as Grewal, so saying his first name was always hard to get used to, and I knew he felt the same way with me. When we graduated academy, we graduated academy, but we still kept in contact by going on gym dates and shooting at the shooting range. After a few months of begging him to come to the Galt Police Department, he eventually gave in, decided to come with me to Galt. While in field training, which is FTO, all his FTOs asked why he was always quiet. I told him just give him time. He'll open up. Because once Harmon gets comfortable with talking, it's like opening Pandora's box. It was a privilege and an honor to work patrol with my best friend. We went to multiple calls for service together, including drive-bys, carjackings, DUIs, and domestic violence calls. But he took a crash on a day off, overtime shift, responding to help a different county and community in their time of need to have his life end. Even on his last days on earth, he was still a hero, and he will be forever. The 5 minutes I have up here is not enough time to say and express how thankful I am to have had him in my life as a friend and a beat partner. It was also a comforting feeling to have served honor guard with Harmon. On February 3rd, 2021, we were in the same church for Deputy Adam Gibson's funeral. That day, he chose to drive the patrol car during the procession from the church to the memorial site. I was riding passenger, recording the community, waving American flags around and showing their support. Afterwards, we had pizza together. On May 19th, 2021, we were at Officer Jimmy Inn's funeral in Stockton. During that procession, I drove the patrol car, and he was riding passenger, recording the community, waving American flags around and showing their support. We also had pizza afterwards. Unfortunately, today, I will be driving at his procession, and I won't have him next to me. But I know he will be watching over me and guiding me, and I will have a pizza in his honor. Thank you for everything, Harmon. I'll never forget the conversations we had together, all the advice you had given me. Thank you for serving your family, your friends, your community, and your country. You showed me life is short and to embrace the moments you have with your loved ones. So with that said, I want to end with this thing called, this is a letter to the greatest officer we knew. Hey buddy, it's been a minute since we last talked. We all miss you every day. We're all doing good down here. We make sure the memories of you never fade. We miss your trash talking, goofy sense of humor, all the funny stories you had and you made. The chapters and the pages of your life had finally closed. How we wish this was all fake. This doesn't feel like it's fair. We always thought you'd always be there. How we sit and wonder every single day if we'll ever wake up from this nightmare. We'd be lying to you if we said, nah, we're okay and that we're not in pain. But come on, bro, you're the reason we can never listen to Metallica the same. The reality of moving on hurts deeply. We all wish you could have stayed. We're all gonna grow old, years will pass, but the image of you will always stay the same. You will be forever young, no gray hairs or backaches, no worries of house mortgages, no more pain, stress, sadness, no more PG&E power outages, no more drama, trauma, anger, danger, no more politics, but no more happiness, no more pizza, no more In-N-Out, no more life, no more all of it. Sorry, it's a little sticky. Your life was cut short and you showed us everything can end in just one flash. But God has an angel now who has a love for spicy food and a badass mustache. You wore your badge and uniform with pride and honor. It sucks that we'll never find out if you'd have a son or a daughter. You taught us many lessons. That's why you're the greatest officer we knew. Honor, strength, and integrity is really how we would define you. This job was your calling, but the ultimate sacrifice was how you paid your dues. Some of the things we regret the most was we didn't say how much we loved you. We've lost plenty of sleep mourning for your loss as we lay on our pillow. To the greatest officer we knew, you were a true American hero. Thank you for your service, Officer Harminder Grewal. You can rest easy now. Your watch has come to an end. We'll hold down a line down here. We love you and we miss you until we meet again.
Hello, dear Americans. The family of our beloved departed officer, Harminder Grewal, reaches out to the family of fellow officer Capri Herrera and are grateful for her well-being. At the age of 27, on August 26, an angel and a guardian, Harminder Grewal, was snatched from us. The light and life of his mother, Jaswinder Kaur, and his father, Gurdeep Singh Grewal, his brothers and sisters, and a beloved of the community left behind a void that can never be filled. The family shares with us that he was just shy of 3 more classes before graduating with a bachelor's degree. Harminder wanted to pursue higher education so he can fulfill his dream and wanted to join the FBI. At approximately age 6, while in Punjab, Harminder insisted on being a baptized Sikh child, a rarity as it involves taking on huge responsibilities towards society. This, of course, sent the adults into a panic mode. At approximately age of 6, while in Punjab, Harminder just did that. No amount of sweet talks and distractions would dissuade Harminder. And we can look back and say the first battle to serve was won by the baptized Harminder at the age of 6, who then took on the name Singh, which means lion. About 2 years ago, another valiant sheriff deputy from Harris County, Texas, Sandeep Singh Dhaliwal, was shot ambush style in the line of duty. Just like Harminder, Sandeep too was a Sikh. The death of Sandeep brought deep conversations between Harminder and his kid brother Jasdeep, who asked in concern, "What do you think about your future after Sandeep's shooting death?" Harminder said without a moment's hesitation, "We are Sikhs. We sacrifice. We never turn our backs on the service to the people." Harminder wanted to truly honor Deputy Sandeep's memory and sacrifice. Historically, the turban commonly seen on Sikhs today was reserved only for the rich, the powerful, and those of the nobility lineage. The founders of the Sikh faith taught and sacrificed hard and make it a sovereign right of the downtrodden people and the poor. One can say the turban is the common person's crown. Before he died, Deputy Sandeep has successfully fought to approve and legalize the turban as part of his uniform while serving as a deputy in Texas. Deputy Sandeep's sacrifice has left a deep mark on Harminder, and to honor the fallen hero, a fellow fallen hero, Harminder too started a tradition of wearing a turban while on duty while serving in Galt. Harminder's spiritual side of reciting the daily Sikh prayer and going to the Sikh Gurdwara, place of worship, while serving was his regular routine. The sacrifices of many fellow Americans who served in the law enforcement like Harminder Singh Grewal will hopefully serve as a bridge to bring divided communities together during these distressed times as our journeys continue. For there is no such thing as a law enforcement community. There's no such thing as a non-law enforcement community. There's only one thing, and that is the American community, the American family. Thank you very much. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
मृतक पे दसे बंद छूटे मित्र भाई सब छोड़े मृतक पे दसे बंद छूटे मित्र भाई सब छोड़े कहत कबीरा जो हर त्यावे जीवत बंधन रे कहत कबीरा जो हर त्यावे जीवत बंधन तोरे कहाँ गए बाबा कथा वार्ता कहते सुरत माहे जो नृत्य करते कथा वार्ता कहते कहाँ गए बाबा भूलते थे कहाँ गए
सजन मेरे रंग ले जाय सुते जीरान सजन मेरे रंग ले जाय सुते जीरान हम भी वंचा डूमणी रोवा चीनी पाण हम भी वंचा डूमणी रोवा चीनी पाण सजन मेरे रंग ले जाय सुते जीराण सजन मेरे रंग ले जाय सुते जीराण तन जो बन अर फुल्लड़ा नाटियाड़े दिन चार तन जो बन अर फुल्लड़ा नाटियाड़े दिन चार पपण केड़े पत जयो टल टुल झूमण हार सजन मेरे रंग ले जाय सुते जीराण सजन मेरे रंग ले जाय सुते जीराण रंग मान ले प्यारिया जा जो बन नवला रंग मान ले प्यारिया
What matters most? Ready or not, someday it will all come to an end. There will be no more sunrises, no minutes, hours, or days. All the things you collected, whether treasured or forgotten, will pass to someone else. Your wealth, fame, and temporal power, they will stop. It will not matter what you owned or what you owed. Your grudges, resentments, frustrations, and jealousies, they will disappear. But so too, your hopes, ambitions, plans, and to-do lists will expire. The wins and losses that once seemed so important will fade away. It won't matter where you came from or what side of the tracks you lived on. It won't matter whether you were brilliant or beautiful. Even your gender and skin color will be irrelevant. So what will matter? How will the value of your days be measured? What will matter is not what you bought, but what you built. Not what you got, but what you gave. What will matter is not your success, but your significance. What will matter is not what you learned, but what you taught. What will matter is every act of integrity, compassion, courage, or sacrifice that enriched, empowered, or encouraged others to emulate your example. What will matter is not your competence, but your character. What will matter is not how many people you knew, But how many will feel a lasting loss when you're gone? What will matter is not your memories, but the memories that live on in those who loved you. What will matter is how long you will be remembered, by whom, for what. Faith, family, and freedom mattered to Harminder. He lived his faith, he loved his family, he protected his freedom by becoming a police officer. Harminder chose a profession that mattered. Yes, this profession has a high level of scrutiny. It is the only profession allowed to take someone's liberty away from them. And it's the only profession that resembles the law enforcement profession is that of military. While the soldiers protects outside our borders, the American police officer protects inside our borders. Freedom mattered. Harminder chose law enforcement not for fame, fortune, or money. Harminder wanted to be a part of something bigger than himself. I believe he was called to be an American police officer. People may suggest that these are horrible times to be an officer, but I believe that Harminder thought this was a good time to be an officer. He was an American police officer for a reason, and he had a purpose. Harminder knew he was going to help define what this law enforcement profession was going to look like in the future. Being a police officer is being part of a noble profession, and he knew that. Living a life that matters doesn't happen by accident. It's not a matter of circumstance, but of choice. Harminder chose a life that mattered. God bless you.
As we near the conclusion of today's service, I'd like to take a moment to give some direction. After the radio call, there will be some external honors conferred for Harmon outside of the church. There is a pre-designated group of individuals that is going to be going outside of the sanctuary to participate in that. I would ask the rest of us stay inside where those honors will be displayed on the screen and we can participate in those. Uniformed personnel will be directed by Lieutenant Bland. The procession, once it leaves the church, is also private. So during the time that the external honors come to a conclusion, we'll ask that you again stay inside. If a brief restroom break is necessary, by all means take it. But we want to facilitate a smooth egress from the church and so that the family can have their time to prepare after the honors to start the procession. We don't want to impede that. So I'll thank you in advance for your cooperation with that and your indulgence. And I'll say to my brothers and sisters with the Galt Police Department as well as Harmon's family, on behalf of Sheriff Scott Jones and the entire Sacramento County Sheriff's Office, it's been an absolute honor to assist with the facilitation of today's service. We have grieved with you over the past several weeks. We celebrate with you today. And tomorrow and long after, we will remember the ultimate sacrifice that Harmon gave. And we will remember in solemn observance in honor of his life, as you said, Chief Small, and has been alluded to, a life very well lived. At this time, I'll ask Chaplain Russell to come back for a benediction, and that will be followed by Harmon's final radio call.
You ready? Again, we would like to also thank you for your attendance today.
ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫਿਰ ਇਸ ਮੌਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਹਾਜ਼ਰੀ ਲਈ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਹੁਤ-ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ।
May the legacy that Harminder leaves with us today become a part of your legacy as well.
ਉਮੀਦ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਵਿਰਾਸਤ ਹਰਮਿੰਦਰ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਵਿਰਾਸਤ ਦਾ ਹੀ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਬਣੇਗਾ। ਦੂਜਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਅਨਮੋਲ ਸੰਸਕਾਰ ਹੈ।
There's an incredible value and honor in being a service to others.
ਸੇਵਾ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੀਮਤੀ ਵਸਤੂ ਹੈ।
Officer Harminder Grewal was our example.
ਅਫਸਰ ਹਰਮਿੰਦਰ ਗਰੇਵਾਲ ਇਸ ਦੀ ਜਿਉਂਦੀ ਜਾਗਦੀ ਮਿਸਾਲ ਹੈ।
God bless you.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Attention all units, clear the air for priority traffic. 239. 239, Officer Grewal. This is the final call for 239, Officer Harminder Grewal. End of watch, Thursday, August 26, 2021. Thank you for your service, Officer Grewal. You can rest in peace. We have it from here.
Folks, you may be seated. While this does conclude the external honors, because of the length of the procession, we want to give the family about a 10-minute respite or so before they proceed to the vehicles and line up. So again, we're asking that you don't exit the church so we don't impede the vehicle procession. Obviously, if comfort breaks are necessary, restroom breaks, by all means, do that. And the ushers are mindful of when the family will be in the vehicles and the procession starting, and then we'll dismiss you from there. Thank you again.